Hi, Iara. How are you?
Hi.
It's so good to see you.
Honored to be here.
Thank you for coming. This is incredible to be sitting here speaking with you. So you are here for the Winter Film Awards for your documentary, Burkinabè Rising. Go ahead, say the entire title for me.
Burkinabè Rising, the art of resistance in Burkina Faso.
Yes.
Most people don't even know Burkina Faso is a country.
Well, you're here to show it to all of us, which is amazing.
And I was like, who's going to show my film if people don't even know Burkina Faso is a country? But I've been delighted, because there are many African events around the world. And the fact that people don't know anything about it, it sparks curiosity.
Yes.
So I'm an ambassador of Burkina Faso now.
That's incredible. So tell us a little bit about your documentary.
Well, this little country that doesn't even have access to water, is landlocked in West Africa. I was impressed because they made revolution through the power of the people when united. They removed a president that was glued to power for 27 years just through the power of the people. Millions of them went out on the street and demanded, enough is enough. And then I started, reading the history, and it's about the whole Thomas Sankara, which is like, he's like an African hero. People know Mandela, people know Gandhi, people know, but people don't know about Thomas Sankara. Thomas Sankara was a great man who thought Africa for Africans, and he was actually killed in a coup d'etat by Blaise Compaoré, who then went on and stayed in power in Burkina Faso for 27 years. But Thomas Sankara, and sometimes you kill someone, but you cannot kill his spirit. And even today, the youth is like the spirit of Thomas Sankara, which is like to work hard, to build Africa for Africans, and it's not about waiting for others to come and do for you. It's about, making Africans proud of themselves and encourage them to be hands-on. So we're back at the spirit of Thomas Sankara.
It's incredible. It was incredibly inspiring and empowering. This entire, the spirit of the resistance is still very present, if not more than ever, right now. And it came through a lot in art as well, and in music, and that's what you showed a lot of. What was that like, studying all these different,
Because sometimes people think resistance is a political resistance, but how does it happen? It happens through music, agriculture, architecture, language. So, to provoke change, you need everybody united and all different people, and that's what I documented, how creativity is like a way of really pushing a political movement. And Burkina Faso is the ultimate example. I think nowadays people are so hopeless, we're like, oh gosh, what can we do? We have Trump in the US, and we have all these despots and tyrannical governments and state terrorist governments. So people feel very disempowered. So I think this little country, Burkina Faso, is inspiring because they show how they can make it happen, so maybe we can make it happen too.
And it's incredible, and it starts, the young people are the ones that are carrying it forward and that are, calling for change, which is, I think, a lot of what we're seeing here in America as well. Do you see parallels with that at all?
Yeah, it's always about the youth, and it's about empowering the youth. Most of these kids in Burkina Faso, they've never met Thomas Sankara. They've only heard, they see stickers, they see, books, they read books about him. But the spirit, the philosophy, to be encouraged. Change does not come from politicians, change comes from people. And how this permeates every single aspect of the Burkinabe life was very inspiring, to show that we need to unite. If you're a designer, make posters for a campaign. If you are a musician, write a song, a resistance song. If you're a photographer, document and show people what's going on, So we can all participate, and I think we're not gonna go and, use weapons, so we're gonna use creativity.
Oh, that's amazing. And I do think that music is the language that we can all speak and understand. And there's so much music in this documentary.
Yes, it's about resistance music, music can touch the minds and hearts of millions of people. A powerful song can really move mountains.
And so you founded the Cultures of Resistance Network. Did that play into your work here with the documentary as well?
Yes, I think this cultures of resistance is like my raison d'être, you know, it's something I'm living through and is going to be part of my life until I drop dead, because it's my commitment, you know. It's really about committing to social justice and using arts and culture for that, because I come from arts and culture world, but then as I was growing up I was like, we need to use arts and culture for something beyond arts and culture. And that's what I've been doing, you know, using that to promote peace with justice, anti-war campaigns, women's rights, children's rights, ecology, protection of the environment. We are all intertwined.
It's all of our responsibility, I guess, to be informed and to use what we have to.
Yeah, but it's in the hands of the youth, so it's about getting the young people to get more proactive, because everybody's too busy just with their gadgets, you know, and we use these films and all the campaigns to really like motivate young people all over the world.
What do you hope that people will take from your film when they see it?
Well, hopefully people just don't watch the film and say, oh, that was really cool, that was really inspiring, and then go back to their lives, you know. My hope is to get people to actually watch the films and get a little bit more proactive, because a lot of times people are like just Facebook activists, clicking the like button. People are just like, you know, in their cocoons, and we have to get out there, you know, we have to get hands-on and we have to get action on the ground. And so hopefully my films, you know, sometimes I see people send me feedback saying, oh, now I'm very involved with this cause, and I'm like, wow, I touch one heart, it's good.
So it's a call to action.
Yes, yes, because, you know, to know is not enough. People a lot of times, they're very informed and they read and they're educated, but to just know is not enough. We gotta really get hands-on, proactive, and that's what I'm trying to push the youth.
Was it challenging at all to film this in a different country and with different culture, to get all of these people to interview with you and meet with you? Was that a challenge at all?
Well, it's always a challenge, because you're coming to a country and you're learning and documenting as you learn. But people are very hospitable, people are very kind and very, you know, collaborative. So in that aspect was very easy. But it's harsh, you know, the African continent can be harsh. I mean, I got like some sort of malaria dengue combination that was not even detected as so, but I was in bed. At some point I had to send my cameraman with some questions on the iPhone, and because he doesn't speak French, you know, he came from Spain. So he would like run an interview with the questions in French from his iPhone that I recorded when I was in bed.
Oh my goodness, you did not stop. You just were focused on it the whole time.
Yes, yes. And when I go, I try to spend like a whole month, 2 months, you know, to also get to know things before I embark, you know. And most of the films I make, they are in languages, you know, many different languages, so post-production is very difficult. There was one film, Cultures of Resistance, was 16 languages. So I had people coming every day, okay, can you translate this Farsi, and now Arabic, and now this Amazonian language from Brazil, and then
Ooh, wow.
Because I also think people have, they should be given the opportunity to speak in their own languages, you know, and I have to be the one dealing with it in post-production.
That's incredible.
I mean, even Burkina Faso, a tiny little country, they have so many languages, you know, and it's just unbelievable, the cultural diversity. And as a filmmaker, I have to deal with all that. It's very hard, but, you know.
I think that's something that came across, though, in the film, is that it is so diverse. There are so many different kinds of people, and all that have all different skills and all different, and they're all working together.
Yeah, resistance comes through this, you know, support of cultural diversity too, because the world is becoming very globalized and it's the same everywhere, and it gets so boring. So I really try to also use my films to promote cultural diversity and acceptance of the different, you know. A lot of times we just want to be comfortable with the people who think like us, but we have to open our minds, the world is wide and life is short.
Broaden our scope.
Yeah, so I'm always making films in obscure countries, obscure issues, about indigenous rights and something that is like hidden in the middle of nowhere to bring the stories out,
Yeah. And is there something that you hope for Burkina Faso in the future as a result of their work that they're doing?
I think Burkina Faso is a great example, and it's a real example. It's not just like, analysis or, political documentation. It's like on the street, what people did. And I hope it will inspire other countries and other people to get out, get their despots out of the way through the unison of the people working together. We are more than 7 billion. Imagine, we are the big number. How come we have these countries all over the world run by idiots, and and run by like some super corrupt people that are just profiteering, So if we got conscientious and conscious that we are more than 7 billion, we could provoke change, but we got to unite, and that's the challenge.
Definitely, we have to come together, put aside our differences.
Yes.
Well,
for a common goal.
You've got my vote. If you want to run for office anywhere, you've got my vote. Well, it's so wonderful to be speaking with you today. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
I think that's good for 1 minute.
Yeah. I don't know how you're going to decide what to put.
Well, if you could give us a little bit of, you said that you make films around the world, marginalized folks fighting for resistance against tyranny, but give us a little bit of your background. Through what process in your life experience, how did you end up being a filmmaker, and being a filmmaker with such a global perspective? And when you answer, if you get
Well, I used to run a film festival like you guys do here in Brazil, in Sao Paulo. I was born and raised in Brazil. I'm of Korean parents, but I was born and raised in Brazil. So I ran this film festival, which is now a mega festival in Sao Paulo. And then, so I come from the arts and cultural world. And I used to go to festivals, to scout. And then I was like, okay, what it is to be behind the camera. So I started making some short films. And then I expanded and I realized, okay, maybe we need to use all these arts and culture for something beyond. So I started making documentaries for social justice. And but then I realized, a lot of times documentary film people or filmmakers in general, they're so stuck with the funding. So I started doing my commercial work, like stocks and bonds, to fund my human rights projects. So I have full autonomy and independence. I can talk about extreme issues that no broadcast company will be able to cut me off. Yeah, and so I do low budget films, completely independent, and is not connected to any corporation or company or sponsors. It's just like very fringe and grassroots. And that's why I talk about radical issues, about conflicts like Palestine, Israel, or what's happening in the Middle East, and all these proxy wars and issues that sometimes are sensitive and get me in a lot of trouble. I mean, I'm running out of countries I can enter. Because I'm banned from India because I deal with Kashmir. I'm banned from Palestine because Israelis don't let me through. I'm banned most likely from Morocco because I made a film about the occupation of Morocco in Western Sahara, which is also something completely unknown. So, but someone has to do it, someone has to open the big mouth, so I do it.
That's amazing that you've cavaliered all of that. Like, yeah, you may not be able to go back, but you told, the story and have brought it to so many people who weren't aware.
Yeah, I'm out there, going to jail, getting malaria, getting deported, banned, but I'm out there.
And here you are. And that's amazing. Wow, that's insane.
Coming back to Burkina Faso, can you tell us about what inspired you to, or how did you, what circumstances led you to do the film in Burkina Faso?
Oh, yeah. Serendipity, you know, my life is all about serendipity. I was actually working with Slow Food International. I'm very interested in agroecology. I think our food is so poison, you know, and all these GMO. So I was going to go to Burkina Faso to make a short film about agroecology movement, you know, how people got rid of Monsanto. And then I started researching. I was like, wow, but resistance is not just in agriculture. It's everywhere, you know, and that's why I ended up making 2 films. And the agroecology is actually a second part of the film that I made in Burkina Faso. They not only got rid of the president, they got rid of Monsanto. You know, which is a big thing because these companies, I mean, now they're getting purchased by Bayer, you know. I don't know how you say in English, Bayer, the German company. So it's like a full circle, you know. The ones that make the aspirin, the Tylenol,
Yeah,
you know.
Bayer,
Yeah, Bayer. So imagine, you know, they get purchased by these huge German companies. So they basically now put all this GMO food, people get cancer, and they themselves, the pharmaceutical company, will cure you. So it's like double evil, you know. And we have to fight. We have to fight. We need to eat food that is like pesticide free. We need to, you know, protect our seeds. We need to, you know, get rid of all these fertilizers that are just poisoning everything. And you know, the movement is not only agriculture, but all over the country. So that's how I got fascinated about Burkina Faso and made a film there.
Wow. You know, I think it's about, we need to all be more informed about what we're putting in our bodies and what we're doing to get those. You know, when we go to the grocery store, we don't know where that's coming from and what has been done to it. And I think the more light that's shed on that, it's, you know.
And in Africa, people are fooled, you know, they're like, wow, look at this GMO tomato is much bigger than the, you know, pesticide-free tomato, but they don't realize that this big tomato is poison, you know? So there is this whole thing about all these big companies trying to fool people, you know, like in Africa, there was a Nestle campaign saying, don't give, you know, milk from the body. They were like trying to say that the powder Nestle milk was better than the mother's, you know, milk. So it's just like, you know, brainwashing and trying to convince people that sometimes are not so educated to defend themselves, you know, and bully them and make them gullible. And we have to fight, you know. Everything that is natural, that is naturally produced is better than some kind of, you know, processed, processed food, processed everything, you know. And it's a process, you know, to get people educated and then implement. But now in Burkina Faso, they are very much about their indigenous seeds, indigenous food, and, you know, and now they're proud of their you know, produce and very much like resistance.
And you said, are you going to be going back there soon?
Yeah, we just actually had a screening there, and I just came from the Ivory Coast, but since I got this malaria, my doctor's like, no Africa for a little while.
Yeah.
So I had to cancel my trips. I was going to Guinea-Bissau, I was going to Angola, and I was going, but little down the road.
Yes, take a little breather. Do something, just relax. You deserve it.
Yeah, so I'm forced to take a little break through the malaria.
Oh my goodness. Sounds like mono times 100. Sounds